Hiya and welcome back to No More Future, the game that teaches us that Nem is a god among men. I cannot wait to see more of our favorite Muppet boyo. Favorite Derg. Well, one of our favorite Dergs. Our Muppet boyo, Nem. Anyways, let's just hop right in. Nor can you shake away the feeling in your heart that somehow you might be the one who's wronged him after all. Your walk home is far less eventful than your walk to the store, something you're both grateful for and quietly resent. You're definitely glad that there are fewer people around to bother you at this time of day. After 30 minutes of being the main attraction at that supermarket, any modicum of solitude you can get is a blessing. At the same time, you wish your solitude was a result of your own choices and not something Nem forced upon you at the last minute. You still don't understand what could have inspired that outburst in him. Was it the pressure of the unusual situation you initially believed, or was it really something you did? That's what you've been trying to figure out ever since you left that store. Reliving your conversation with the dragon time and time again, looking for mistakes on your end or even his. I also don't know where we left off. I think did we leave off here? I cannot remember where we left off. I might have just wasted like 2 minutes of our time. Hang on. I'm checking. I'm checking right now. Let me go to the playlists. Scroll. Oh god, it's been a minute. No more future, no more future, no more future. There we go. Hang on, I'm checking. It looks like we're in the right place. Yeah, we're in the right place. We are in the right place. We are in the right place. Okay, we're in the right place. And I need to silence my phone. I forgot to silence my phone. Alright, my phone is silenced. Even though you probably can't hear it, it's still silenced. That's what you've been trying to figure out ever since you left that store. Reliving your conversation with the dragon time and time again, looking for mistakes on your end, or even his. But no matter how hard you try, you always come up empty-handed. It's useless. The more I think about what just happened, the less I understand it. Maybe I should just quit while I'm ahead, at least for the moment. Maybe focus on getting home in one piece instead of letting my mind wander around without purpose. People are watching, after all. They always are. And a panic attack right now would be just about the worst. You shudder as you briefly consider the possibility of even more recordings of you behaving strangely in public surfacing on the web. No doubt your appearance at the store this afternoon is already trending on WeTube. You can only pray Nem's reputation online won't be harmed by today's events. Oh, for crying out loud, Isaac. Stop thinking that, jeez. I really am the king of self-fulfilling prophecies. You chastise yourself as you're about to cross the road, hoping to shake all these nasty thoughts off of your head. I just need to make it home. Things will finally calm down after that, and I'll have some time to think through this stuff at my own pace. Your weak attempt at encouragement isn't much, but it's at least an effort. Enough to get you past the crossing and keep moving forward past the houses in the park. Knowing myself, I'm probably making a mountain out of a molehill again. I bet Nem's gonna call me before I even get to the condo and apologize. Or maybe he won't and I'll be the one apologizing in the end. Things would be so much simpler if only he wasn't so stubborn. It's a controversial, if endearing quality of his, that's for certain. He's always been like that ever since you were kids. Anytime he was certain of something, he would never back down. He'd claim moral victory in fighting games anytime you defeated him, but thought he'd played better. He'd argue with teachers whenever he thought their explanations made no sense, sometimes even in the middle of an exam. And now he's set on becoming a full-time streamer. Honestly, I kinda envy him. I wish I had that kind of confidence when I was a college student. Or even now. when not even I am certain of who I really am. Hey, wait a moment! It's right as you're about to fall once again into that familiar abyss that you managed to pull yourself out, your hands gripping the handle of your grocery bag with renewed conviction. God, there I go again. I just can't stop! Focus on the road, Isaac. Focus on the road. A little. It does a little. It's crazy how any train of thought leads back to the same self-deprecating doubts in the end. And you're not even doing it on purpose. But the time for worrying over these things is over, you reckon. Or, to be more accurate, it has yet to come. Hoping that your concentration won't fail you again, you leave the rich side of your hometown behind and venture back into its old, dilapidated depths. In a desperate attempt to keep your mind off of your more destabilizing thoughts, you find yourself walking unfamiliar streets on your journey home. You're not exactly lost, not by a long shot. The navigator in your head, which you've since learned how to boot up on your own, reassures you that you're still heading in the right direction. It's just going to take a little more time than usual is all, but it's time well spent if it means familiarizing yourself with this town just that little bit more. You never know when that might come in handy. As you look around, you notice that you somehow wound up in a shopping area of sorts. There are more stores than houses on this street, each of them exhibiting different sorts of goods on display. There are groceries, clothing shops, as well as some bars and restaurants that have yet to be open. Nothing particularly exceptional, of course, but at least they're cheap. You noticed a faint feeling of familiarity dwelling within you as you walk through these streets, as though you've been here before. Perhaps during one of your initial forays through town when you first returned from Pandora as an android, or perhaps on the day you left for Daphne's workplace at Apollo's request. Either way, you still cannot say. Now that you think about it, you never did go to Daphne's bar again after that first time, and for that matter, you didn't try your best to keep up with Apollo or George since then either. It's not like something prevented you from doing that either. You had plenty of time to schedule plans with your cousin and friends in the last few days, but a mixture of fear, anxiety, and flat-out cowardice prevented you from even considering any of these possibilities. Instead, you spent your time at home, locked inside, trying to hide away from questions you already knew the answer to. But I can't keep using all of that as a crutch to hide myself from the world anymore. Hiya. For someone who's so adamant to marry about getting back out here, I've spent far too much time cowering in my room as it is. Today, I went out for groceries. Tomorrow, I go out with my friends and family. Reclaiming my old life one piece at a time, just like Natalie said. Among many other things you're not quite sure you can trust. But you try your best not to focus on that, for now. That's all I ever wanted, after all. Only reason I even wanted to become a synthetic in the first place. To simply... In the midst of your musings, a familiar-looking fellow strolling down the road suddenly catches your attention. A fair distance away from you, wholly focused on the smartphone in his hands, stands a white-furred man you haven't seen in quite a while. Well, you say white-furred, but you suppose white-wooled is probably more accurate. Oh my god! It's Apollo, our boy! It's our boy! Hi, boy. Hi, Apollo. Hi, boy. Ah! Apollo walks inconspicuously down the brightly lit street, his gaze occasionally glancing on the sidewalk to ensure he doesn't stumble into any potholes. It's been quite a while since you last saw your new friend, especially out here in the open. I think he's a sheep. In fact, last time you met him outside his apartment. Well, it was on the very first day you met him. If your memory's to be trusted, the day those thugs tried to harass him. Not the most pleasant of memories for all parties involved. In but a moment, a myriad of questions suddenly flashed through your head. What's Apollo even doing all the way out here? How is he comfortable walking these streets by himself after what happened last time? Assuming he even remembers about that. It's certainly not a comforting sight seeing him wandering around aimlessly like this. There's no way Daphne could be okay with it either. She definitely wouldn't want her brother to fall prey to those thugs again. And for that matter, neither would you. You still don't know a whole lot about their situation, but you don't doubt for a second that the attack on Apollo last Thursday and the one on Daphne 2 days later are very much connected. Daphne did say that none of this is your concern, but if your instincts are to be trusted, I probably shouldn't leave him alone like this. It's too dangerous in this part of the city. More of those men could show up at any moment, especially once the sun goes down. I might be jumping the gun a little, but it's better to be safe than sorry. And besides, I bet both of us could use a company. It's not like you're trying to be his bodyguard or anything, after all. You're just a friend trying to look out for him. Safety in numbers and all that. And in your bionic body, of course. Fuck. I remembered something. Let me see if I still have it. I think I still have it. Just lying around. Is that it? No, that's not it. Is this it? No. Where is it? There is too much shit. No, that's gay baby jail. Almond does almond things. Don't open your SAS directory. Oh shit, I forgot about that. I fuck Fred. I fuck Chad. Jenny says insert eggplant emoji. Where is it? There it is. There it is. Ooh woo. With all that in mind, you fast walk your way to the young lamb, a friendly smile on your visor. Hey Apollo, long time no see. Your voice and perhaps your enthusiasm too takes the sheep by surprise, and he almost trips in his step as he notices you approaching. Almost drops his phone too, however his reflexes are fast enough to catch it mid-fall before anything could happen to it. He shyly hides it and his arms behind his back as you get closer, utterly marveled. Damn, I didn't think you'd actually catch that. Great moves, Apollo. Oh, it was nothing. I just got lucky as all. I'm gonna give him a gay voice. The cheerful-looking lamb finally turns his gaze to you, a curious glint in his eyes. Hi again. You feel yourself sighing internally, still a little unaccustomed to your new friend's antics. Nonetheless, you try your best to be polite. Isaac. Right, Isaac. Sorry, I never was any good at remembering names. It's a miracle I even memorized my own. It's alright. I know I'm not all that memorable. Your friend chuckles at your sudden quip, a faint blush barely visible on his cheeks. Oh, don't worry. Names are one thing, but I never forget the things that matter. You almost blush upon hearing that remark, sweet as it is. Though fortunately you managed to rein yourself in just in time to avoid that. So, what are you doing all the way out here? I haven't seen you leave the condo in a while. For good reason, you assume. But you probably shouldn't say that kind of stuff until you're sure of the man's intentions. Oh, I was. He pauses for a second, as if trying to remember something. Again. Fortunately, this time the wait is much shorter. Oh, that's right. I was looking to grab a gift for Daphne, actually. It's been so long since I got her anything new. She's been a little quiet ever since she left for New Relay the other day. I was hoping I could find something to cheer her up. Oh, I see. Not surprising given everything that happened. Oh? I'm sorry. What are you talking about? Well... Crap. There you go again, saying out loud things you probably shouldn't, right after Daphne explicitly told you not to do so, as well. You still have no idea why that human wants to leave her brother in the dark, especially when not doing so makes him prone to leaving the house more often, like right now, for example. But until you know for certain what's going on, you might as well keep up the charade. For a while longer, at least. There was some turbulence on the mag train to New Relay the other day. Oh, really? Does that happen often? Not usually, no. It did the other day, though. Some people were also a little mean to us, but I guess that's to be expected given our circumstances. There you go. That should convey the point. No sense burning bridges with Daphne over this stuff anyway, and even though you're skirting the border between truth and falsehood a little, you're not exactly denying what happened. Now, of course, this doesn't stop Apollo from looking worried. Oh dear, I had no idea things got that bad. That's because they didn't. Despite everything, Daphne handled herself really well. Probably even better than I would have, honestly. Though you expected Apollo to keep sulking for a while longer at least, your words are clearly enough to restore his good spirits. Oh, I don't doubt that for a second. Daphne really is the best. She just has a way with things, you know? I remember this one time, And there he goes. He sure is talkative when it comes to his sister. He must care about her a great deal. Just the mere mention of her name is usually enough to lighten him up. I wonder if he already forgot about everything I just told him. Maybe it's for the best. I prefer when he's happy over when he's... Oh, that's right! The gift! Apollo suddenly exclaims, taking you by surprise. I completely forgot about that. Gotta go find something for Daphne before I forget... again. I'm sorry, Isaac. I'd love to chat with you, but I really gotta get going. I hope we can... Actually, would you mind if I tagged along? Your suggestion is quite sudden, or at least it's clear that the lamb interpreted it as such. Are you sure? I don't want to be a bother and all. Weren't you heading home? Well, I was, but... You make as if to explain yourself only for a question to suddenly pop in your head. How did you know? For a second, you almost think you're onto something, but then... Isn't it obvious? You're carrying a bag of groceries and everything. He nudges... I just smacked my pop filter again. Can I... Is it possible for me to stop hitting my fucking pop filter? He nudges toward the bag you're holding in your hand with his own, and you can't help but feel embarrassed at being outwitted this badly. Talk about being forgetful. Not wanting to dwell on that awkward feeling for long, you try your best to look unfazed as you reply. Well, I was heading home, but I'm not exactly in a rush. None of the stuff I bought needs to be put in the fridge right away. What with it being winter, the temperature's more or less fine already. Seemingly unbothered by your concise explanation, Apollo keeps tilting his head at you, looking a little perplexed. I suppose that's true and all, but I still don't get why you'd want to tag along on this errand. I followed Daphne when she went shopping a bunch of times, and it wasn't exactly, well... It took a while is all. Like that's gonna matter if you're accosted by those weirdos again. But I can't just say that out loud. I didn't go through all that trouble earlier just to be honest now. Unless, of course, I do want to be honest now. Actually, I don't mind this taking a while. I could really use the distraction. I'll admit I haven't exactly done a whole lot in the last few days. The only reason I went to the supermarket in the first place was so I could get out of the house and do something for a change. If you'll have me, I'd be glad to accompany you on your errand. I might be parroting you a little, but I also like chatting with you. There you go, a truthful answer. Even if it's not the whole truth. But it doesn't need to know about the other reason. Not when just being near him should be enough to scare any criminals looking for an easy score. For all you know, there won't even be any need of protecting Apollo at all. The Lamb is clearly nowhere near as concerned about that prospect as you are. So it could be that the danger you perceive is all in your head. Either way, it's probably best to put all those thoughts behind you for now, and focus solely on the beaming sheep before you. Well, when you put it like that, of course! I'd be glad to have you tag along. It's been a while since we last hung out anyway. This should be exciting. Yeah, I think so too. I've been meaning to get a hold of you for a while too. I've just been a little busy recently. I'm slowly trying to free myself of all that. No worries, I totally get the feeling. The young sheep reassures you as he resumes his trek down the road, with you closely following by his side. Though it's not long before his expression falters again and he hastily clarifies himself. In theory, anyway, I actually have the opposite problem right now. Too much free time and nothing to spend it on. Is that so? I mean, I enjoy practicing cooking and learning new recipes, and there's always something worth looking up on the web, but sometimes it gets a little repetitive doing that every day. I see. Is that the reason why you leave the condo every so often? More or less. Bloomberg's a cool place to wander around, you know. Helps break the monotony, at least a little. But I try not to do it too often. I know Daphne gets anxious whenever I leave the house, and given what I'm like, I don't blame her in the least. You suppose it's understandable, given what they're going through, whatever that is. Still, the thought of Apollo cooped up inside his home every day just doesn't sit well with you. Well, what if you didn't have to leave alone? I'm sure Daphne wouldn't mind if I accompanied you. And I wouldn't say no to spending more time with you in general, either. You know you can call me anytime you need someone to talk to, right? Oh, I do. It's just that. Well, I'd hate to be a bother is all. Inviting you over any time I feel lonely or bored would mean sapping away a lot of your time. You mean the same time I'd otherwise spend doing this? You raise your bag full of groceries as if to prove your point, instantly earning a chuckle from your friend. Yeah, I wouldn't mind having some of my time sapped away right now. You're not the only one who feels bored and lonely every once in a while. I suppose not. He echoes with a smile. I see what you mean. If you really are fine with it, I'll be sure to invite you over any time I could use the company. Aw, fuck. And I'll be sure to reciprocate anytime I do, even if my cooking is nowhere near as good as yours. Oh, don't be so hard on yourself, everyone learns. In time. That's a reassuring thought, but the knowledge that Apollo has not forsaken you is even more comforting right about now. There are times where it feels as though your friendship with others are as brittle as glass. All it takes is a single blow for them to crumble into dust. Like with Nemerin earlier today. Oh, not Nem. But it's clearly just your mind playing tricks with you. There are still people worth trusting in this world, people who trust you back. And that includes your old friend the Drake, you're sure. As long as you nurture these bonds, these worries of yours will fade away in time. That's a hope you must hold on to, if you're sure to survive in this uncaring world. So, you wanted to get something for Daphne, didn't you? What did you have in mind? You decide to ask Apollo as you walk, not wanting to dwell on those heavy thoughts for long. The young man takes a while to answer, seemingly needing some time to put his own thoughts in order. I'm honestly not sure. You mean you forgot, or... No, not this time, I think. But there are plenty of shops around these parts, so I'm bound to find something, eventually. That's what I figured, at least. Bit of a messy plan, but you can't exactly complain. After all, you were thinking something similar yourself when you decided to head out earlier today, but... Sounds reasonable enough. In that case, what do you think she'd like? The sheep hesitates for a moment as if genuinely taken aback by your question. I don't know. Maybe a nice gown. Or a necklace. I used to just default to buying her video games through online services, but I wanted to go for something different this time. I see. Does Daphne like that kind of stuff? Again, Apollo can't seem to hide his surprise. I'm not sure. I mean, probably. Maybe. Apollo's visible confusion has you shaking your head in disbelief. Is he honestly that clueless? No way she never passed on any hints about potential gift ideas, you wonder. And yet, judging by his stuttering, that might just be the case. In that case, if he's open for suggestions, personally, I think you're better off buying her one of those spiked collars or a cheap t-shirt with a skull on it. You think so? Isn't that stuff kinda tacky? Oh, for sure. But then again, she does carry a jacket on her back I've never seen her wear, just for the style factor. I don't think she'd mind at all. When you put it that way... You can't help but snicker at how easily you succeeded in convincing the sheep. You were obviously jesting, but he clearly didn't pick up on it. God damn it, Isaac. Best to clarify before you can actually consider buying any of that. Look, all jokes aside, I don't think Daphne would mind either way. Cheap or expensive, big or small, cool or tacky, as long as your gift comes from the heart, I think she'll like it. Maybe just don't go for a necklace. I don't think she's into that fancy stuff. Apollo smiles at your earnest words of advice, quite clearly relieved. I'm glad you think so. I'd hate to disappoint. And you won't. You have my word. Now, let's resume the hunt, shall we? You can't disappoint Daphne, but you sure can't surprise her. Surprise her, huh? That sounds nice. Alright then, lead the way, Isaac. With renewed vigor, you continued your window shopping together, always on the lookout for the ideal gift. Unfortunately, for as many shops as there are in the area, very few have anything remotely interesting to offer you. Just another sign of this town being behind the times. You suppose, no wonder everyone does their shopping online when this is all you can find when you go looking in person. Perhaps you'd have better luck on the other side of town, but that would require walking all the way back there and putting even more distance between you and your condo. Best just keep trying your luck here, you reckon, and suggest that as the only last resort. Still nothing. That's alright. There are plenty of stores we can check. There's no point in losing hope yet. Of course, we'd have an easier time if we knew what to look for. Do you still not know what to get your sister? Not quite. There's just too many options, and none of them seem right for her. Well, let me know as soon as a good idea strikes for you. That'll help narrow down our search considerably. And it'll help me figure out what to get her, too. You want to buy something for Daphne, too? Apollo immediately asks, his curiosity roused by the thoughts you so carelessly spoke out loud. Not wanting your intent to be misinterpreted by the ram, you hastily clarify. Yeah, I just thought about it. You don't mind, do you? Not at all. I think that's a great idea. Though I have to ask, what brought this on all of a sudden? Good question. And again, you have to think carefully before answering that. I don't know. I just want to help out, I guess. I know it's stupid, but I can't help but feel a little responsible for her needing cheering up to begin with. Hanging out with the synthetic can be a little stressful, to say the least. I just want to make sure there are no hard feelings between us is all. Almost as if in defiance of the sorrowful look on your visor, Apollo beams at you as he replies, Oh, don't worry, you're fine. Daphne doesn't hate you or anything. In fact, I'm pretty sure she's happy she got to meet you. You think so? You don't know why you sound so surprised about that or feel so embarrassed about it. Nonetheless, Apollo presses on. Yeah, I think you made a great impression on her. Usually she just talks about her video games, how frustrating her job is, or just asks me how my day went and so on. Lately, she started talking about you too, and how much she likes chatting with you. It's not often she talks about someone else, or even with someone else. In fact, I don't think I've ever seen her do that before. The young man suddenly pauses his train of thought, for which you are quite relieved. Another word and your cheeks might have actually started burning. Honestly, I think she's the one worried that there might be bad feelings between you two. Huh? What do you mean? Well, Apollo makes as if to say something, only to relent at the last moment. His expression goes through a varied range of emotions, most of them unpleasant, before finally settling on a pleading
time to
look.
drink water. It's time to drink water. It's time to drink water. It's time to drink water.
Can I trust you with something? Your reply is a bit belated, courtesy of the suddenness of his query, yet firm nonetheless. Of course. What is it? Apollo hides his arms behind his back, his eyes veering further and further towards the floor. Daphne and we never had a lot of friends growing up. Well, that's a lie. We didn't have any friends growing up. I see. Truth be told, his revelation isn't all that shocking to your ears. But it's exactly hard to intuit given what you already knew about the pair. Regardless, it's quite the saddening statement to hear spoken out loud. From the first day we enrolled in school, everyone hated her guts. The other students, their parents, even the teachers were unpleasant to her. They'd say mean things, pull mean pranks. Sometimes they'd even try to hit her when no one was watching. That's horrible! And no one ever said anything? I wish they did, but no, they didn't. Our parents tried complaining, but no one would listen, so we tried changing schools. Again, and again. All for nothing. It was like there was a curse following us everywhere we went. Something that made everyone resent us no matter what we did. Something that wouldn't let up no matter how hard we tried. Yeah, I guess being born a human will do that too. Wait, hold on a moment. Us? Yeah. Paul's reply is brief, but the pain on his face is decades old. I was the only one who ever stuck by her side, in and out of school. The only one who tried to make her feel welcome. And so I, as if the lamb is saying something, can't hear him anymore. It's like he's become a prisoner of his own thoughts. A condition you know all too well. I can't begin to imagine what you two must have gone through. I'm so sorry. Never meant for the conversation to end up this way. Had you known the mere mention of the topic would have hurt him so, you never would have wished Apollo to recount his past to you. You've always been grateful to your friends for reassuring you when you needed it most. You only hope you can assist Apollo the same way in his moment of need. Fortunately, it doesn't take long for the lamb to finally crack a faint smile. Oh, don't worry. It wasn't that bad, all things considered. For everything that seemed wrong in the world, we still had our parents with us. They tried their best to keep us happy when we were sad, gave us a good childhood, even when it felt like we didn't deserve it. Maybe a little too good, honestly. The pain in the lamb's words is so palpable, it's enough to bring even you to tears. If only you were still capable of it. No wonder that old photo you found at the siblings' place the other day had held so much meaning to them. Probably one of the few things they have left of them now that they're gone. You still don't know for sure when any of that happened, but it was probably too soon. It's always too soon. I'm sure your parents were wonderful people, Apollo. I'm sorry they're no longer around. You silently cry, not wanting to hurt your friend any more than he already is. He's clearly suffered enough already. Perhaps recognizing he's dwelled long enough on these bittersweet thoughts, Apollo does his best to hide away his sorrows with a smile. They really were. I couldn't have asked for better parents growing up. I'm sure Daphne thinks so too. He pauses, his eyes widening like soccer balls. Oh dear. I forgot the whole reason I was even telling you all this! Your friend's gaze veers off to the side, but the glint in his eyes is different than it was before. Like I said, Daphne never had any friends growing up. Only me, Mom, and Dad. Maybe that's why she's already so fond of you. You're the first person who didn't judge her because of the way she looked, and even considers her a friend. I'm sure that means a lot to her, as it does to me. In the midst of Apollo's explanation, you find yourself scratching the back of your neck, feeling the embarrassment from earlier creeping up again. I appreciate your kindness, but I really don't see what's so special about any of that. All I did was treat you and Daphne the way I treat everyone, really. The way I want everyone to treat me. Like my parents taught me. Lamb smiles earnestly at your explanation. It sounds like they taught you well. They did. They really did. I only wish you'd met more people who were taught the same thing growing up. That would have been nice. But hey, at least we got you now. Apollo beams at you, seemingly oblivious to the embarrassment his words are making you feel. You don't have to say that. Again, I really don't feel like I'm doing anything special. It's special enough to me. It's not every day I get to hang out with a trusted friend like this. In fact, it's quite the recent development. I think you might actually have a real talent with people, Isaac. You retreat even further away from Apollo's warm gaze, not really used to this amount of praise. I'm really glad you think so, but I do think a lot of this is owed to my parents and the way they raised me. I always knew my upbringing was a lot different from the average child's, and I used to resent that, but lately I'm starting to see some of its positives too. Though it was still pretty weird at times, not gonna lie. You patiently wait for a follow-up from Apollo, but not a sound comes from the young man. When you turn your gaze to meet him, you find him eyeing the other side of the road, seemingly looking for something. Are you okay? Hearing the concern in your voice, Apollo's head suddenly snaps back in your direction. Oh, yeah, of course. I was just looking for Daphne's gift. I realized I took a bit of a break from the search, somewhere in our talk. Oh, I see. I guess that makes sense. Would you like me to? No, don't stop. I'm honestly really into this conversation. I just don't want to waste our time is all. Given I'm not really doing anything, I figured I might as well look around while we chat, so I'm not missing anything. I hope you don't mind. I mean, not really. Truth be told, snooping around in the midst of a conversation is probably not the most polite thing in the world. But you reckon it's excusable given the circumstances. As much as you're enjoying your time together, Apollo's time is limited and valuable, and it'd be remiss of you to waste it unnecessarily. Knowing that, you decide to take the lamb at his word. Well, alright then. I'll keep going if you insist. The lamb simply smiles as you return your gaze to the road. It seems now is your turn to divulge your childhood to your friend. I was about to say, my family was a little different from most others. My parents were deeply religious. Religious? Judging from Apollo's tone, he doesn't really seem to know what you're talking about. And unlike his usual lapses of knowledge, you reckon this one is probably a little more excusable. Yeah, I'm not surprised you're unfamiliar with that term. Religious just means they believed in God, heaven, and all that stuff that science can't or won't cover. At least that's how they explained it to me, way back when, more or less. Not the most in-depth analysis, all things considered, but it's been quite a while since you were first introduced to their own little world. And some details might have gotten lost along the way. Probably for the better, if you had to guess. You're trying to hold a conversation, not a lecture. Interesting, I never heard of that before! Or, maybe I did and simply forgot. Could be, but I wouldn't fault you if you never heard about it before. It's not like this stuff is taught in school anymore. At least beyond history class. But my father's family came from a devout line of Catholics dating back centuries. My mom married into them at some point, but I don't know the whole story behind that. I see. What's a Catholic again? A simple question worthy of a very complicated answer. But given you're not trying to bore your friend to death, it'd probably be best if you stuck to the essentials. Nothing important, at least not anymore, just one of many kinds of Christians, I suppose. Oh, Christians! I remember now, we covered those in school. That's so interesting! I didn't know they still existed. Some of them still do, like my family, for example. But their numbers don't get much bigger than that. Ever since the shift, believers like them have been on rapid decline. Probably because their God never left them instructions on how to behave after the whole world flipped upside down. You jest, but you're honestly more conflicted about the situation than you let on. Even when you were younger, you never did believe everything your parents told you, but you didn't exactly not believe in it either. As a strange feeling of nostalgia begins to overtake you, you turn your gaze onto the sky above, as if asking for guidance. You think back to your parents, to all their stories about angels and demons, God and the devil, heaven and hell. Thinking back on it, it sounds like nonsense. Nothing but a fairy tale to keep men devout and children in line. That's what most people you used to talk to about this stuff had to say anyway. Can't exactly fault them for thinking that, given what your home was like. And yet, when all was said and done, and you were lying all alone in that hospital bed, you just couldn't keep those fairy tales out of your head, no matter how hard you tried. When the thought of your death was all but inevitable, only one question remained. Would anything, await you on the other side? Or just simply fade into nothingness, as if your life never even mattered? It was all you could think about. Well, before Mary entered what little remained of your life, right up until your final breath. Hell, who am I kidding? I still think about it even now. Familiar dread creeps up your spine, the same dread that threatened to overwhelm you this morning. And in the afternoon, the evening, every day now when you least expect it. But you can't fall prey to it now, not this time, not while Apollo's watching. And so begrudgingly, you continue. I don't know why these things matter so much to me. They clearly didn't to most people I've met. Fuck. Even so, I think there's some wisdom that can be found in my parents' religion. Some lessons I would have taken a long time to learn otherwise. Like treating the other people the way I want to be treated. For example, being forgiving, being kind to one another, believing in miracles. Well, trying to at least. Even with your upbringing, you reckon Mary and her team probably have an edge on you in that regard. But maybe that's alright. It's harder to believe in yourself than it is to believe in others, albeit clearly not impossible. It'll get easier in time if only you keep at it. That's what you tell yourself anyway, which you're sure the scientist would tell you, if only she were here. So yeah, I guess I had a nice childhood, all things considered. Although I definitely wouldn't have been opposed to getting a phone a few years earlier. Right as you finish your quip, a sudden realization strikes you like lightning. Mortified, you immediately cover your visor with your hand in shame, then make as if to speak to your friend once more. Oh god, that was a lot, wasn't it? I'm sorry, I really let myself go just now. I didn't mean to make you feel left out. Is there anything you... There's no one there. You turn your head and there's no one there. You spin around confused, wondering where your friend could have gone all of a sudden. No matter where you look, you can't find heads or tails of a single person, especially your friends. Apollo? Again, you cry out to no avail. Realizing the gravity of the situation, you feel your free hand slump heavily to your side. The other's grip falters for a second. Only for both of them to suddenly tighten into rock-hard fists as your fear for the worst morphs into anger. You're really not liking this. Ow! Not so rough! Lamb complains quietly as a wolf in charge of manhandling him forcefully pulls him towards the rest of the group. His frown leaves no doubt as to his dissatisfaction with the situation, but he tries his best not to raise his voice nonetheless. I'm literally following you right now. You don't have to... Shut up! The man quickly silences him with a slap to the face, sending him shaking downward onto the floor. The dumbstruck sheep hesitates for a moment, evidently shocked at how roughly he's been pushed around right now. He shoots an upset gaze at his captor as if expecting some kind of apology from the canine responsible for the reddening fur on its cheek. But there is no remorse or pity on the thug's face, only irritation and even disgust. Alright, that's enough of the ooh-woo. No more ooh-woo. New name of the game. No more ooh-woo. Only irritation and even disgust. Hey, how long are you going to take to catch up? Another girl from his group, a vixen, shouts at him from a dozen feet away, while the rest of their band scouts the plaza for any hidden threats. Extraction's only a few streets away, but we're never getting there on time if you keep beating that kid up every 3 steps. I know. Oh, fuck. Oh, fuck. He's about to get trafficked. The wolf instantly replies, dragging his vowels like a kid being reprimanded by his mother. You try dragging this dead weight around. I've seen trained soldiers put up less of a fight than him. The lamb makes as if to object to the ruffian's explanation, but ultimately decides that there's no point, opting to vent all his anger out of his nostrils instead. Besides, you've heard the way to say about this kid. Him and his sister are responsible for more broken bones and prides in our crew than the police. Just ask one of the guys taking point. I bet they know something about it. He nods in the direction of one of the men further ahead of the group, who immediately averts his gaze from the wolves, as if to purposefully avoid the question. See? The woman plants the palm of her hand on her forehead, unimpressed. Whatever. If you're gonna be such a little bitch, then let me give you a hand. We can't afford to slow down any further. Hang on, I'm gonna get myself a little comfortable. Yeah, fuck. Yeah. There we go. There we go. She swiftly approaches the sheep from the front, gazing into his defiant pupils from behind her sunglasses. The sorry sight before her eyes is disgruntling, to say the least. 5 minutes earlier, when they had first caught sight of the lamb and nabbed him, he seemed as frightened and quiet as any kid would be in this situation. But now his gaze speaks 1,000 words. He's not just looking at her, he's assessing her, and he's clearly disappointed by what he sees. Revolted, her frown deepens substantially. Ugh. This had better be worth it. Feels like I'm gonna puke just from staring at him. How little freak. She grabs his left arm, forcefully, while her colleague does the same with the right. Now help me move him. Last thing I want is that monster sister of his showing up while we have our pants. She makes as if to say something, but the words die out before they can leave her throat. Huh? What's the matter? Did you say we needed to move already? Oh, we have a problem, she says, her gaze transfixed onto the street from whence they came. Cold sweat already pouring down the back of her neck. The wolf's pupils seemingly rocket into the stratosphere, as a bored sigh escapes from his fanged mouth. Ugh, of course we do. Well, my fault, my problem. I'll deal with them, no matter who. What? They are. He mumbles distractedly, already in a full-blown panic from what he sees. Losing his mind at the mere sight of you. Oh, you've got to be kidding me. This shit again? You ask, borderline shouting, turning both thugs' complexion a whole lot paler than it was before. Wolf begins to whisper into the vixen's ear, clearly frightened. Were you seeing what I'm seeing? The synthetic, you mean? Yeah, I see it. The vixen replies, trying her hardest to keep her composure despite the gravity of their situation. This wasn't planned for, was it? Really? What do you think? She almost shouts into his ear, instantly overwhelming him. At this point, their entire posse has noticed your appearance. Some of them look annoyed, others upset. Only a handful look genuinely frightened. The only one who averts his gaze from you outright is the young man still being held captive by the two canines in front of you. Oh no, not again! He whispers, disappointed and a little afraid, as he shakes his head in disbelief. You never thought you'd be here again in this exact situation. Judging from his expression, neither did Apollo. But there's no denying that you're here now. In spite of your best efforts, and now that you are, there's only one thing you can do. You saved your friend once, it's your duty now to save him again. Look, let's try this again, shall we? I'm not here to fight, I don't want any trouble, and I'm sure that you don't either. But whatever you're doing is wrong, and you know that, so let that boy go. Or I'll make you make as if to say, but you stop yourself at that last moment, suddenly having doubts. Last time you were attacked first, and that definitely helped Mary argue her case before Jasper and the owners. How can she keep making excuses for you if you keep jumping into fights willy-nilly? Already you can hear the CEO yelling into your ear, ordering you to run away before you endanger yourself and the company. And it's becoming harder and harder to find an excuse not to listen. Noticing your hesitation, the two thugs start confabulating once again. You think I can drop him? He whispers, motioning something half hidden in the back of his trousers. Would you risk that chance on someone like Max? Wolf does a few mental calculations in his head, and whatever conclusion he reaches doesn't appear to be a good one. He suddenly lets go of whatever he was about to pull out and instead forcefully hoists the young lamb up his shoulders, preparing to move. The vixen is quick on the uptake, and motions for the rest of the group to back off while she assumes a combat stance. I'll try to buy you some time. Grab the kid and haul your behinds out of here. Oh, fuck. Following her command to the letter, either out of respect or opportunism, the wolf and the rest of his gang begin to run in the direction opposite yours, trying to make a clean getaway with Apollo in tow. Hey! Just what do you think you're doing? Nobody listens to your screaming, of course. Not after that insecure speech from earlier, they don't. The hooligans speed off towards a nearby alleyway, Apollo in tow, unbothered by your presence or shouting. Ah, fuck. Daphne! I'm pretty sure that's Daphne. The bitch is back, and I'm calling her a bitch in a nice way. It's a nice bitch. Now that changes as they abruptly come to a stop. Oh shit! Daphne stands in the middle of the road, looking quieter and more upset than ever. A cold flame burns within her eyes as she sets her sights on the miserable men before her. Hey, what's the matter? Why did you stop? The guy holding Apollo by the arm shouts from the back as he pushes his way through the crowd, only quieting down upon seeing the irate look on the human's face. Oh no! Seeing her brother held down by the wolf like that, Daphne's fists tighten to an otherworldly degree, so much so you can practically hear them crack from where you stand. What are you doing? The wording implies a question, but the full sentence definitely came across as a threat.
Surprise, motherfucker.
A very serious and very tangible threat. The men begin to sweat profusely, clearly unsettled by the woman before them. Their gaze is so confident only a few moments prior, suddenly infected by fear and uncertainty. And the same can be said for you. Said of you, albeit for different reasons. You were hoping your presence here would avoid the worst, scare these people into submission, but now that Daphne's here, that complicates things a fair bit. How many times? How many times have we been here already? You idiots just don't learn your lesson, do you? She growls under her teeth, quietly but surely, and even though her words are barely audible as it stands, nearly everyone, friend and foe alike, shakes at the mere sound of them. You're going to regret this. Impassive, unflinching, she slowly begins to advance onto their shaky vanguard, who hurriedly move into combat positions. You've already seen Daphne take on one of these ruffians before on the train, but Apollo was notably absent when that happened. Maybe she was restraining herself back then, or maybe she didn't feel like going all out on just one guy. Whatever was the case, it's clearly not going to matter now. That look in her eyes is that of a predator on the prowl, and no amount of pleading is going to hold her from her rampage. Yas! Slay! Regardless, you give it your best shot. Daphne, don't do anything rash. Try to warn her, hoping your words will somehow reach her. If you fight them, you'll end up exactly where they will. You can't deal with them out here in the open. Let me handle them. If I'm the one taking them on, I can... But your words fall on deaf ears. I'm sorry. I saw that and first thing that came to mind was One Punch Man. I don't know if that's referencing it. It probably isn't, but this is beautiful. This is beautiful. No sooner does one of the men turn to face you for a split second that her knee is firmly planted on his back, faster than any of you could see coming. One punch! Daphne blasts her way into the crowd like a mag train speeding down the tracks, leaving no room for action or reaction from her enemies. By the time the now unconscious canine hits the ground, Daphne's already assessing her next threat, ready to engage. Isaac, I literally couldn't care less right now. She can turn me straight. You touch Apollo, you die. It's as simple as that. She states coldly, matter-of-factly, without a hint of remorse or hesitation in her voice. The guy from Doom, the Doom Slayer, would piss his pants just seeing Daphne. Just seeing Daphne, the Doom Slayer just pisses his pants. And while it's unlikely her attack was enough to take that man's life, it's enough to make you worry whether her next targets will be as lucky. What comes next is practically impossible to describe, much less believe. Daphne's movements are well thought out, wasting no time or energy in dispatching her foes, like a dancer moving to the beat of a soundless choreography. Hang on, let me grab my phone real quick. This entire situation is beautiful. In but a flash, she's on top of one guy, a second passes an idiot, another falls to the ground. Sorry, I came to this alleyway for the people, but now I think I'll paint with something else, and the color's going to be red. Time and time again, hoodlums charge in to take her out, each attempt less successful than the last. I'm so... I love that. Occasionally, she takes a hit, she grunts, she bends over from the strength of a well-placed strike. If only for a moment. And then she trudges on, unhurt and unbothered, angrier than ever. That bitch got yeeted, that bitch just straight up got stabbed. He just straight up got stabbed! And even then she trudges on, unhurt and unbothered, angrier than ever. Is this what Daphne's really like? You mumble to yourself, unable to avert your gaze from the sight before you. A spectacle as awe-inspiring as it is repulsive. One could argue it's Daphne's feral strikes, efficient in spite of their brutality. That gives you pause, or maybe the sheer unpreparedness of her foes as they fall before her. Their confidence utterly shattered under the weight of her blows. But in truth, it's her gaze that terrifies you most. That glimmer devoid of light in her eyes, that unflinching glare as she pummels her enemies into the ground. Oh yeah, no, she's serving. She's slaying. It's enough to disquiet anyone unlucky enough to behold it, even bystanders, even allies such as you. You only realize how deeply you got distracted by it when it's too late. You're reminded of danger by the sound of rapidly approaching footsteps coming from somewhere behind you, a sound you can barely hear at all amidst the noise of the conflict further up ahead. You turn around, moving on sheer instinct, only to be greeted by a pair of knuckles colliding with your metal skin. Immediately followed by a pair of loud, pained grunts. Ouch. That's gotta be embarrassing. That's all you can think of as you stare at the two men before you, clutching their fists as they back away from you, almost as if praying nobody saw that. I love these CGs. I love them. You have to wonder how dumb someone must be to fearlessly attack a synthetic like that. With their bare hands, no less. Oh my god, I broke a nail. In your mind, you can't help but contemplate whether their overwhelming numbers are intended to scare you or compensate for something. But then again, it's not like I can blame them. Between me and Daphne, it's no wonder they decided to go for the lesser threat. A brief, uncomfortable silence follows your thought, only interrupted by the moans of regret of the goons in front of you. A sound that relieves you as much as it bothers you. You should probably take care of them before they hurt themselves further, you reckon? Or at least before Daphne decides to do it for you. And so, without delay... Oh, god damn it! Oh, god damn it! Yes! Yes! You give them a lot to think about. As the two men lie asleep at your feet, the lonely thought from before comes crawling back to the forefront of your mind. One in particular stands out among the rest. I really don't belong here. The bloodlust, the screams, the wanton destruction waging in front of you, the pain so distinctly visible in everyone's face even before a single blow is struck. The very same pain you dished out on those thieves yourself that fateful night not long ago, to the fools who just attacked you and the ones who yet might. This is wrong, though your cause is just none of this savagery feels righteous or deserved. None of it feels earned or rewarded in any way. Is it necessary? Perhaps. And perhaps that very necessity should be reason enough to indulge the fighting, or at least condone it. But the more you try, the more you can't bring yourself to do it. You're not Daphne. You don't enjoy beating on people. You don't delight in seeing their bodies littering the floor beneath you. And while ordinarily that thought would feel reassuring, today it just feels off. And it's only about to get worse. Ha! Not so tough now, are you? A young woman's laugh echoes behind you amidst a cacophony of sparks. Think you can afford to turn your back on me, android? Well, think again! That little freak you're looking for is worth your weight in gold. And so are you and his sister once I zap the lights out of you. Electricity surges in her hand, steadily coalescing at the tip of her finger before pointing it at you. And neither of you is getting in my way. Lightning blasts off from the woman's hand in the shape of an arrow, grinding through the air like radio static until finally planting itself once more into your back, piercing your innards like a sword. Pain courses through your body like a stormy river, lingering for longer than you would have thought possible. You felt pain before, as a synthetic, but never so tangibly, never so physically, and never did it bother you this much. Like a virus, spreading itself all over your mind, replacing your every thought with reminders of its presence and unpleasantness, locking your body up from the inside out like a prison, sapping away your strength and resolve. The idea of staying down is more tempting than you'd want to admit. Simply give in and let the hurting wash you away. But like all intrusive thoughts, you're quick to squash it down. Alright then, you want me to get involved? You mumble to yourself as rage takes over your mind, as your desire for payback overtakes everything you thought of in the last few minutes. Even the very stiffness you just felt. Your funeral, I guess. Certainly not mine. Your rage aside, you have to admit, the attack just now was certainly something. Your whole body feels numb to the touch, as if you were still fast asleep. Every movement feels slow and tedious and delayed. Even so, you persevere. Eventually, you manage to pull yourself up to your feet, or just short of it, it would seem. You quickly scan ahead, trying to catch a glimpse of your attacker just now, but the horizon is suspiciously clear and has been for quite a while, it would seem. It's unclear how long that was exactly, but no amount of time spent defenseless on the floor can be good, especially while Apollo's still out there somewhere waiting for you and Daphne to come to his aid. And speaking of his sister... Oof. It doesn't take long for you to find her again amidst all the chaos. The human lies on the ground before you, her clothes torn as your sweater, her long hair buzzing with electricity. Hey, are you okay? You try to reach her while still trying to recover from your own injuries. Never felt better. Daphne coldly, almost callously states, more so to reassure herself than to put you at ease. You make as if to help her to her feet, but a familiar laughter interrupts you from the other side of the square. Well, wouldn't you know? You actually took care of all these morons by yourself. Around the Vixen, countless bodies litter the ground, breathing but barely. A sight that seems to inspire little fear in the cutthroat before you, and more so vexation. Still, a mere human like you is no match for me. If I were you, I'd surrender now while you can still speak. Over my dead body! Daphne shouts, undeterred as she readies herself to strike once more, completely oblivious to your worried looks at just a few feet behind her. I'm sorry about that face. Wait, what do you think you're doing? You shout back, hoping she'll listen to your words of warning this time. You can't rush your head on like that. She'll just use you for target practice. Like I care! She shouts as she makes a mad dash to her target. Which ends about as poorly as you'd imagined. Signs of injury are present all over Daphne's body, and electric currents travel freely around her limbs and chest. And the worst part is, it's like the human couldn't care less about any of that. Though her movements are as sloppy and difficult as yours, she nonetheless tries to push herself off the ground and readies herself for yet another charge to her doom. The sight is incredible as it is utterly frightening. You can't be serious. You mumble to yourself in disbelief. You're just going to keep throwing yourself at her until you die? Are you insane? Try to reason with her, only to be met by scornful glare and an irritated grunt. I can still move just fine. For now, but another hit like that and you're a goner. Yeah, right. She sputters, trying to sound dismissive in spite of the clear heaving in her voice. I just have to brave a couple of hits is all. I'll get used to it. Please tell me you're not that delusional. Again, she turns to face you, and you can already feel her piercing stare burrowing into you like a drill. For a moment, you almost fear her retaliation more than that woman's lightning bolts. Fortunately, her response is purely verbal in nature. If you've got any better ideas, jackass, I'm all ears. She coldly asks, not truly expecting an answer or even a reply out of you. And indeed, there's not much you can think of. The square is too open to attempt evasive maneuvers. And with Apollo still out there, you don't have a lot of time to come up with a plan. Brute force, as hopeless as it seems, does appear to be the only viable option. But that can't be right. Daphne's only human. She'll kill herself before she even makes it 10 feet. At least, she will. Briefly turn to look at your arm, still laying half asleep on the ground. Quickly you make as if to raise it, in spite of your inability to feel it, and the limb, surprisingly, obeys. I'm going to stop a bit for the ad. Want to break from the ads? Just shoot a gun! Isaac, just pick up a kaboom boom and fire it. Go kaboom boom. Want to break from the ad? From the adage? Want to break from the ads? It's far from ideal for sure. While you can move it around just fine, no sensation comes from within or without as if you slept on it overnight. Then again, feeling isn't truly necessary right now, is it? Follow me. You state out loud to the human, whose reply is as quick as her movements. Wait, is that dubstep? No, that's drum and bass. You state out loud to the human, whose reply is as quick as her movements. Huh? You're going in? But you just said... I mean, literally, follow me. Shout a little louder, hoping she'll get the message. You understand it's foolish and decidedly reckless to assume she'll understand what you're planning and follow along regardless. And yet, right as you're about to reconsider, the human stands up, shaking but sure, and ready to throw down harder than ever. Oh, still itching for more. The vixen taunts you from afar, right as she steps into firing range. And no matter, this time you won't get back up, you... The woman chokes on her words as you suddenly dash forward, arms splayed in front of you as if to shield yourself from the incoming shots. Behind you, Daphne steadily follows your path, careful not to step too far out of your shadow. What the? What's this now? Ugh, no matter. A bolt of lightning escapes the vixen's fingertips faster than you can notice. It's a perfect hit and you can already feel your body and mind starting to give out. Already you can feel the ground losing consistency beneath your feet. There we go, that'll make you think twice before. Huh? And yet you're moving still. Keep running forward as if oblivious to the pain that courses through your veins, as if every fiber of your being wasn't begging you to crumble to the floor. After all, you're synthetic now. Your body's a machine that can operate regardless of feeling. You didn't know what's going on to know what needs to be done. And right now, all you need to do is get over with is run. Oh, you've got to be kidding me. Predictably, lightning strikes twice harder than ever, but you gladly endure the torture and keep fighting on. Like a living battering ram, you keep pushing onward and onward, no matter the cost. Stop it! Enduring and absorbing every hit, all for the sake of the girl running right behind you, delivering her closer and closer to her goal. I said stop! Again, you're struck by a loose arrow and the pain is immeasurable. For a brief moment, everything seems fine, and it's nothing unexpected or unmanageable. You can endure this hit just the same as all the others. What you didn't notice was that crack on the ground. By the time you notice you're falling, almost as if in slow motion, it's too late to stop it. Out of the corner of your eye, you spot a grin of relief on the vixen's face, a snicker of confidence as she musters her most powerful attack yet in her hands. Your body gives way inch by inch to the empty space behind it. The woman is quick to realize that something isn't quite right. And that she, too, is too late to stop it. In the blink of an eye, Daphne tears into the vixen's defenses with everything she's got, culminating in a final blow that sends her enemy tumbling to the ground. Her landing is as rough as her condition, and she struggles to get up in time to mount some semblance of a counteroffensive. Only to once again come up short just as your silhouette begins towering above her.
Body has been discovered!
Oh, she's dead. Seeing the vixen lying unconscious on the floor, the static in her hair slowly fading out of existence, you finally allow yourself a moment to breathe. Though your knockouts during that fight were few, you're thoroughly exhausted. That lady pumped enough electricity in you for the last few minutes to power an entire neighborhood for a year. At least that's what it felt like anyway. You okay? Daphne casually approaches you while you're still trying to catch your breath. A calm, if slightly concerned look on her face. Because you kind of look like shit right now. Wow. Thanks, I guess. That vixen was in her Delulu arc. As if nothing else, she doesn't sound like she's about to murder you anymore, so you take it she has somewhat recovered her composure by now. You only wish you could say the same of yourself. I, might need a few minutes to recover, honestly. Yeah, I get that. My last flurry just now took everything I had left. I'm beat. She confesses, looking quite tired for a change. And somewhat apologetic for whatever reason. You're right. About what? About me being a dumbass. Now that it's over, I can see that. I would have killed myself 10 times over before ever reaching that hag. It's a good thing you stepped in when you did. You probably saved my life. Well, this is unusual. Certainly not the words you expected would come out of Daphne's mouth. Ever. She's made of the anger of 10,000 men. That is what she's made of. The anger of 10,000 men. Truth be told, it leaves you rather flustered. I just did what I had to do is all. I mean, I got a pretty sturdy body. I might as well use it to help you. Frankly, I'm surprised you even listened to me when you did. Would have been pretty awkward to rush after her all by myself. All of a sudden, you spot the woman's gaze veering off slightly to the side, and her thoughts seeming to head elsewhere for a moment. You briefly wonder whether she's alright, but before you can ask her, she's already replied to your earlier question. Well, you seem to know what you were doing, better than I did at least. And when your life is on the line, that's a pretty good skill to have. I guess that's correct? You're not sure if it's due to the compliment, the fight you just went through, or the literal truckloads of electricity that just went through your body. But you're feeling rather lightheaded all of a sudden, and in sore need of some rest. In truth, you didn't expect you to be in this situation again, especially this soon. Apollo just can't seem to stop getting into trouble, and neither can you. And the problems should keep piling onto your shoulders. But now's not the time to worry about any of that. Before thinking of Pandora, the FBI, or whatever else may come your way, there's someone else you ought to check up on before it's too late. Anyway, now that the fighting's over, shouldn't we worry about Apollo? I haven't seen him since that fight broke out. Do you know if he had managed to escape? Right as you're about to panic, Apollo quietly appears behind you, giving both you and his sister the spook of a lifetime. I'm alright, yeah, all thanks to you guys. Oh, thank goodness. Without breaking a sweat, Daphne rushes to her brother's side, almost trampling you on the way there. She quickly inspects him all over for injuries of any sort, much to his embarrassment. They didn't rough you up too bad, did they? Does anything hurt? I'm fine, really. I mean, they did push me around a little, and their grabs were kind of rough sometimes, but... Though there appears to be more left unsaid, Apollo immediately halts his explanation upon noticing the fire burning in his sister's eyes once again. It was nothing I couldn't handle, I swear. You don't need to do anything about it. I don't know. I've still got time to break a few more bones before the cops show up. Maybe I should. I don't think that's such a good idea. Neither does Apollo by the looks of it, and yet it's only through great effort that you somehow managed to talk Daphne out of her insane suggestion. Upset but ultimately unconvinced, the human decides to once again focus solely on her brother, holding him close and reassuring him of his safety. You'd love to pitch in as well, but you reckon approaching Daphne in her current state of mind is probably not a good idea. However, with nothing left to do but watch and listen, eventually, you begin to wonder a few things. For example, when did Apollo get here, or rather, how? Last you checked, one of those men was still trying to escape the plaza with the lamb in tow. What happened to that guy? You briefly turn to look at your surroundings, trying to recall everything you can about the fight just now. Eventually, you spot the wolf you're looking for, whose torpid body lies only a few feet short of the closest exit onto a nearby alley. On the ground next to him is a small firearm, not too dissimilar from the one Daphne had aimed at her forehead the other day on the train. Thought alone sends a shiver down your spine. Man, that's way too many firearms in just a week's time. You could have killed someone with that. Though, I guess that was kind of the point. Besides, it's not like you or Daphne are any better in that regard. Besides, between her ferocity and your metal-clad body, you could have claimed quite a few lives today. You're extremely lucky the worst didn't come to pass. True miracle if you've ever seen one. Having said that, how did he end up like that? Who took him out, and when? Did Daphne rescue her brother while I was knocked out on the ground? Did the lamb knock himself out? Either scenario sounds likely to you, for wildly different reasons. You have half a mind to ask Apollo for his side of the events, just to be certain, but before you can so much as turn around... Isaac! A booming voice screams into your head, louder than anything you are prepared to handle. It is only by a stroke of luck that you don't physically stumble upon hearing it. Is that you, Nats? Hell yeah! It's me. Was I too loud again? Too sudden? The fact that you're growing accustomed to these sudden calls is worrying in and of itself. Unfortunately, that is far from your biggest concern as of now. Ugh, never mind. I meant to shout because I was worried! I was off working with Mary when I got so many alerts. I thought the HQ was about to blow up or something. Do you have any idea how fast I had to run to my office to check up on you? And what in the world happened here anyway? Natalie unleashes an endless stream of questions on you. And now it's your turn to feel anxious. You try your best to stay focused, but you can definitely feel the tension building up in the back of your mind. I can probably guess what all those warnings... probably guess what caused all those warnings earlier.
It's time to drink water. It's time to drink water. It's time to drink water. It's time to drink water.
Was it me getting hurt? Severely hurt? Yeah, at least according to the reports. Did you not feel it or something? Oh, trust me, I felt it alright. You're not surprised by this conversation in the least. If anything, it reinforces everything you've come to notice in the past few days. If Natalie knows when you get hurt, even when she's not on the job, who knows what else they can tell about you any time of the day. Of course, now's not the time to worry about any of that. Especially with the Labrador still in an all-out panic attack. What even happened this time? What a wonderful question. Where do you even start, you wonder? Probably by turning around and just letting her gaze for herself at the outcome of your altercation just now. What in the... What the hell is this? Natalie exclaims, absolutely horrified by the sight before her eyes. Did you do all this? I wish. Believe it or not, that would have made things a lot less complicated. Unfortunately, you turn to look at Daphne once again, who's currently busy chastising Apollo as nicely as she can muster for wandering around on his own. She's the one who took care of things here, and that's kind of bad, given that's against the law. By the time you realize what you said, it's too late to take back your words. You could still sweat. The back of your neck would be absolutely drenched right now. Actually, forget I said anything. I'm the one responsible for all this, so... Hearing your panicked response and already wary Natalie sighs in defeat. After a brief reprieve, she finally voices aloud the one thought you were hoping not to hear. I need to warn Mary about this. No, wait. Let's not go that far. I don't want to hurt your friends, I get it. And I don't want that either. Labrador's tone is hurried, but surprisingly well composed. She almost sounds like a mother trying to reason with her unruly child. Look, I can tell you didn't mean for this to happen. This is anything like last time, you were probably forced into this mess against your will together with those kids. So something like that. Daphne did technically start the fight of her own accord, but that's not important right now. Not important enough to tell Natalie anyway. But what you've made here is quite the mess, and we can't leave things as they are. A single person stumbling into all these unconscious people would spell disaster for all of us. The police would get involved, they'd get arrested, and then they'd all start pointing fingers. We need to call a cleanup team, secure the perimeter, erase the evidence to get these people out of here, and I can't do all that by myself. The more the Labrador explains to you, the more difficult it becomes to disagree with their stance. Like Daphne said earlier, knowing what you're doing is one hell of a skill to have. I'm sorry, but we need to get Mary involved. She's the only one who can call in all the favors required to resolve this emergency. The only one who can stay on top of the situation and protect you and all of us. You shake your head, disappointed. You know this is for the best, but deep down you can't help but feel awful about how everything turned out. Daphne might hate you for this, but it has to be done. Yeah, you're right. I get it now. Get Mary on the line. In the meantime, I'll make sure me and my friends get home safe. Hear Natalie nod on the other side of the call before going back to work. Pretty embarrassing being rescued by Mary and Natalie like this. Even that is nowhere near as shameful as causing the very problems they need to rescue you from in the first place. In the end, all you can do is play your part and stem the bleeding as much as you can. I think we should leave. You whisper to your friends as you grow closer, and the two are quick to turn at the sound of your voice. A single bystander stumbling onto the mess we made would be disastrous, even worse if more of these guys show up as reinforcements. We need to put some distance between us and this place, fast. And unsurprisingly, it's Daphne who reacts the quickest. Agreed. We can't afford to waste another movement here. I know a way out of this place. You just follow right. Oh, leaving so soon? Well, well, well. Look who we have here. Two little targets ripe for the taking, and a horde of half-baked chumps lying flat on their ass at their feet. I get that the boss is broke, but this is just pathetic. I could find better goons than these in a daycare. Honestly, I tried telling him that relying on cheap fodder is no good for business, but did he listen? No! And now I have to pick up the trash. Another one? Who is it this time? Me? No one important, really. Just a little marvel of science. No way! Much like you. Name's Max. Max Sterner. A synthetic? It can't be! All of her synthetics are accounted for already! I love Natalie's face. There shouldn't be anyone else with you there. Tell that to this guy. Hold up, hold up! What was that? Oh, I thought Daphne was smiling. Say, you wouldn't happen to be the synthetic giving our guys trouble in this town, would you? I've heard so much about you. I'm your biggest fan. You mind giving me an autograph sometime before I end you? I take it you didn't come here to be friends. Neither did I. Ow! Oh, what's this? Don't tell me that's the best you can do. You fucker! What in the world are you made of? Don't know, don't care. That's your problem, dipshit! Daphne! Oh dear, are you alright? I'm fine. No, you're not. We need to get out of here right. No way, I'm not losing to that guy. I'm not losing to anyone. Talk about pathetic. Shut up already. I'm not done with you, asshole! You talk a lot of trash for a toy who broke after just one punch. Oh, well, not like you're in any position to resist. Maybe they can't. Wait, what are you doing? Are you nuts? I'm doing what I can to help, even if I don't like it. You can't be serious. You can't fight that guy. We don't even know who he is, much less what he's capable of. You should run away and leave my friends behind. Fat chance. You? What are you doing? You've got to be. I told you already, didn't I? This is my problem, damn it. You don't get to. Oh, shut up, Daphne. Apollo? Yes? Take your sister and run somewhere safe. Don't stop until you've made it. I'll slow this guy down. What about you? That's my problem now. You focus on getting your sister out of here. Now go! Ugh. Daphne, please. Fine. We're leaving. But if you lose to this guy, I'm dragging your metal ass all over town by your feet. You hear me? She can still move? Well, as long as they're making it out, as they make it out. What a sweet little hero you turned out to be, just downright sickly. Aren't you upset your targets are fleeing as we speak? Not at all, I'll get another chance to bring them, no need to rush. Besides, I only work part-time. The hell's that supposed to mean? It means I do whatever I want to do when I want to do it. And if my boss has a problem with that, then he can go and fucking shove it. This is my ride, asshole, and you're nothing more than a speed bump on the road. An opening. Alright, take that, you... Ah, that hurt. Not. Hello, I'm a synthetic, remember? Don't tell me you fell for... Huh? Oh gosh, are you okay? I'm fine. Didn't see it coming at all. Man, that hurts. Seriously, who do you think you're fooling with those waterworks? I may have been born yesterday, but even I know synthetics can't. But you can, can't you? Some way, somehow, you just can. And here I thought the girl was going to be a threat. Maybe you aren't a speed bump after all. Maybe you were the main attraction all along. Oh gosh! Oh shit, our eye's broken. Maybe you're really feeling this. You're right, you know that. And here I thought beating down on androids wouldn't be any fun. Do you ever shut up? Ugh, that really hurt. This is ridiculous. How come I'm the only one about to throw up? I've hit this guy just as much as he hit me. It must be his pain receptors. He must have turned them off. I should have the same for you. That way you won't... No! Don't even think about it. That's the only way I can beat this monster, then I'd rather... Oh, already back on your feet. Well, good to see I'm not the only one itching for round 2. So it'll be this time. Get thrown, get stabbed. Get the hell out of here! Huh? Not so fast. Get off me, you! And let the fun end prematurely. Are you out of your mind? This is my ride, remember? And you ain't getting off till I say so. Not on my watch, creep! What? Ugh. You. No. Trying to run away? What kind of android are you? A body as strong as yours, and this is what you do with it? What a joke. That billion-dollar body is wasted on worthless trash like you. I will enjoy tearing it apart. Limb from limb. And you took the words right out of my mouth. Oh god, oh god, oh god. I just fucking died for a second. Oh fuck. Oh, you bitch. You little bitch. You think this is funny? Having a laugh over here? Yes, I am. I hope you're happy winning with cheap tricks, jackass. Because it's not happening again. You'll get what's coming to you, you hear me? One of these days you will... God. Oh, shit. End of build 16. Okay, do we want to hang out with Renee? Yeah, do we want to hang out with this bitch? Wait, not this bitch. This cool dude. Sorry. I'm sorry. Okay, what are we gonna ask? I don't want to read any side stories. Yeah, we already asked all these questions. No, because I don't want to read the side stories. I don't really want to read them. Actually, let's see what they are. You wish to read our selection of side stories? Of course! Which one would you like to read today? I'm just going to create a save there. And Yeah, I'm just gonna end. Wait, no. Yeah, I've had enough for today. But of course, it was a pleasure to have you here as always. I sincerely hope you had a great time here today and that you enjoyed reading through NMF until the end. I'll see you again soon, I'm sure. Until then, take care. Okay. We are almost actually done with updates. We just got one more to go through. Sorry, Raj, it's not undefeated tomorrow. It's after class tomorrow. I'm sorry, it's after class. It got updated. Anyways, stay safe, have a good night, and I will see you all tomorrow.